into history that day, but he could not get there fast enough.
When I got up on the car, Mrs. Kennedy then came up on the trunk. I got a hold of her and put her in the back seat. When I did that, he fell into her lap, but the right side of his face was up. I could see his eyes were fixed. I could see into the skull. There was a hole in his skull. And you could see that part of the brain was gone. It wasn't even there. So I just turned and gave a thumbs down to the follow-up car crew because I thought it was a fatal wound. He was dead. I could see his eyes were fixed. I could see into the skull. There was a hole in his skull.
Dr. Charles Carrico.
There was quite a large defect about here on his skull.
Dr. Charles Carrico.
There was quite a large defect about here on his skull. We looked at him. He had we saw this wound up here in the side of his head. Great big wound.
That was readily apparent.
Oh yeah.
He was laying on his back.
Laying on his back and
came in, and
that was obvious.
Would this be the point you want to kind of illustrate that in terms of where on his head, and if it's what did you see?
That's fine. It can. It's kind of out of order medically, but it's probably in order forensically.
Okay.
Yeah. What I remember, and I was telling Dr. Montgomery earlier, with the president laying on his back, I could see the whole wound in his head.
Dr. Kenneth Salyer.
Into the temporal parietal, back into the parietal area, this is the parietal bone right here, and this wound extended into the parietal area. Well, this is a rounded, beveled wound in the bone right here. But then here's another rounded wound here, right beside it. Here's a rounded wound. There's a rounded wound.
Right.
And I can tell you that two rounded wounds besides one another. I mean, this thing has been something's has happened to this. This wound is not correct. This isn't right.
That is not right.
No.
What?
See, this has been doctored right here. This is laying open. See, the way you have him here, the way they've got him here is skin flaps have been cut or altered or pushed up or changed, and this isn't the way he looked. He looked here where this was wide open with brain open here. This is scalp that's pushed back and it's all distorted. Something's been done right here. And the way he was on the emergency room table is this is open. And this whole area is an open wound.
As you look down at this grave wound, did you think this was survivable?
This is a major high-velocity injury, and it's in a critical place, so the chances are pretty slim.
But now, some of the Dallas doctors, like Marion Jenkins, are changing their stories. As late as 1977, Jenkins was saying he had seen the cerebellum protruding from JFK's head wound, meaning the wound was far to the rear. But recently, Jenkins had his first look at the official photos and x-rays.
Well, after looking at photographs, some made from this angle, looking down at the top of the head, it did look like cerebellum. It still looks like it, but it's obviously not. I'm not trying to defend it. I've made an error, and I have been, but I say I make errors. I call my kids with the wrong names.